the Mayor's Tech Council was over at 600 West Chicago Avenue. It looks like Silicon Valley, where Cabrini Green used to be because of the man sitting to the right up there. Eric Lefkowski said at the meeting, Brad's partner said, you know, one bit of advice I would give Chicagoans is we need more ego and we need to take on more risk. Brad, we want to hear what you think we need more of here in Chicago. You are clearly a leader. We salute you on what you've done with Groupon and your companies. Give them a warm welcome.
Thanks. Thanks, Michael. So it's been a long day, so I'll make my comments somewhat brief. But I think we are starting as a city to get some of the things that are necessary for our future when it comes to entrepreneurship. And my lens is the entrepreneurship of technology. The Kauffman Foundation did a study about our area. I think it was all of Illinois. And what they showed was that between 1985 and 2007, nearly all net new jobs in the city came from companies 5 years old or less. And so the question for all of us is, how do we get more companies created here? And how do we then foster a culture of entrepreneurship that can bring us new companies, new jobs, and then feed upon itself? And clearly one of those things that we need is a starting point. And we've had several starts that I think have been good starts, but have turned out to not deliver the promise that they could have. And so here we are with another start, and the start is called Groupon. And it's a company that we started 3.5 years ago as a business called The Point. And just over 2 years ago, we had an idea that we called Groupon. And it really has become, by most measures, the fastest growing business ever. To give you a sense of some numbers that are staggering, we started last year with 125 employees. We were in 2 countries. We ended last year with almost 5,000 employees in 41 countries. We now have over 60 million subscribers who receive their Groupon every morning and hopefully buy. And so these are great things, certainly for us. But more importantly, these are great things, I believe, for our community, because very soon people will graduate their Groupon experience, hopefully with more money than when they started, and they'll want to do it themselves. They'll want to start their own companies. They'll want to create their own new ideas, hopefully with technology or without, for that matter. The beauty of technology, by the way, from my perspective, is that it uniquely allows us to build and scale businesses unlike any other thing we've seen in the past. I'm not sure that there could be a Groupon before 2008, 2009, because technology, the social network, how we interact with messaging from different entities and how we trust companies that we might not see and interact with day to day, those are elements that allow companies like Groupon, Facebook, Zynga, and others to grow. So here we are in Chicago. We've got an opportunity, and what's next for us is taking advantage of it. I often talk about our press, our media, and more generally our culture. You know, do we have a culture that embraces risk? We cannot succeed as a community to create new jobs and new businesses without embracing risk. I do think, from my perspective, our popular media has at least gotten more neutral on risk-taking. I would tell you 10, 20 years ago, the thought of taking a risk really resulted in most cases in skepticism, or even worse, if, by God forbid, the risk ended up in failure, although we all know that most new businesses fail. So we need a culture that embraces risk. We need a culture that encourages entrepreneurship. We need a culture that provides capital, and we are, my partner and I, are 2 of many people that have committed capital to businesses. You know, we have an entity called Lightbank. We have put $100 million into that entity. We've already funded 11 businesses in the last year, and we continue to invest in many more. But we're not alone. And so you think about risk-taking and a culture that embraces it, technology which now exists and is widespread, a culture that appreciates entrepreneurship, capital, and the last thing you'd say is talent. We need talent. We need people. People often say, or used to say at least, you know, you can't build great companies in Chicago, you got to be in Silicon Valley. And I think we've done our part in proving to our community and the broader Midwest community that you can do great things right here. In fact, I would argue that you really couldn't grow Groupon as fast or as well as we've been able to grow it out in Silicon Valley. There's a unique skill set that exists here in Chicago. I believe there is such a thing as Midwestern values. I grew up in Michigan. and moved here to Chicago to make this my home. But I believe there's something about where we are that matters, that's tangibly different, and I would say better than other places in the country. And our challenge at that point is to embrace that, not say, why don't we have something else, but more importantly, look at what we do have and take advantage of it, which I think we have, again, done our best to do that. So the last thing I'd say that I believe a great entrepreneurial ecosystem needs is ideas and innovation. I think having a vibrant culture and community of ideas, thinkers, people that are attempting new things, thinking about ways to disrupt the status quo is essential. And so to that, what I've done is, with others, have started something called Chicago Ideas Week. It builds on the TED conference. We brought the TED conference here to Chicago in October of last year. And so based upon the overwhelming demand of our TED conference, we've expanded our vision and defined it as Chicago Ideas Week, which takes place for the first time, second week of October, throughout our city. It's an inclusive, expansive exploration of great ideas brought to us by the best thinkers of our time, not just from Chicago, but from around our country and around the world. And to give you an example, for TED, our speakers came from as far away as Kenya, Louise Leakey, who is one of the great paleontologists of the world, and they came from as close by as Chicago. Jason Fried at 37 Signals is widely regarded as one of the great technology thinkers in the world. And we brought them here together to think big thoughts and hopefully provoke big things. So that's what we're doing. We are extremely bullish on our future collectively as it relates to entrepreneurship, as it relates to job creation, as it relates to the next big thing being created here, being grown here, and further increasing and expanding the ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship in Chicago. Thanks.